2. We're starting the book of Numbers today. Last week we finished Leviticus up with 26 27. So we're going
to. If you get ready to read, I can volunteer today.
Sure, sis. Yeah, you could take chapter 2. I think I'm going to read chapter 1 for us just because it's very lengthy.
Yes.
Chapter 1 is very lengthy. So
a lot of names.
I'll take the hit for that one for the team here.
I can help you read too for Job.
Okay, cool. All right. So Numbers chapter 1, just bear with me, everyone. Shalom, everyone. We are the Awakened by Yahuwah Assembly in Yahuwah Almighty, Yahushua Messiah. Today, please bear with me, guys. I've been just getting over this strep throat nonsense. So I might sound a little raspy today, but I feel a lot better. So let me see here. We're going to do Numbers chapter 1 here. Let me get my compare view out here. I'll have the Septuagint, which is the LXXE, Samaritan Torah in English. And let's see, where are you? Oh, where are you? On Kalos. There we go. There we go. All right. So a 3-way comparison, which we always do on Sabbath. So we have the Targum on Kalos in the middle here. We have the Samaritan Pentateuch in English and the Septuagint LXXE, which is the classic Brenton's English translation there. So here we go. It says here, and Yahuwah spoke to Moshe in the wilderness of Sinai in the tabernacle witness on the first day of the second month in the second year of their departure from the land of Egypt. Interesting. So this would be a new moon here. So you have the first day of the second month. So that's interesting. So they're 2 years from their departure from Egypt, and they're in the second month on the first day of that month. Very interesting. Take the sum of all the congregation of Yashrael according to their kindreds, according to the house of their fathers' families, according to the number by their names, according to their heads, every male, from 20 years old upwards. Now, this is important. This is basically war, okay? And I know today we have a tradition in Israel where women can go out to war. I'm sorry, Yahuwah he never meant women to be warriors. He really never meant that. The way Yahuwah set up his kingdom, his people, is the men go out to war. The women stay home. I know today in this feministic world, I'm sounding very much, what's the word I'm looking for? Misogynistic, but that's what scripture says. It doesn't say women go out to war. Matter of fact, interesting to note in the Masoretic text, when you see that commandment, don't let a woman put a garment of a man on, it's interesting to note that the Hebrew word for that is actually referring to war garments, just FYI. So just thought I would mention that. But anyway, from 20 years old and upwards, everyone that goes forth from the forces of Yashrael, take of them with their strength. You and Aaron take account of them. Okay. And with you shall be one of the rulers according to the tribe of each. They shall be according to the houses of their families. These are the names of the men who shall be present with you. Of the tribe of Reuben, Elishur, son of Sidor. Of Simon, Salamiel, the son of Zurishaddai. Of Yehuda, Nasan, the son of Aminadab. Of Issachar, Nathaniel, the son of Sugar. I think I'm saying that correctly, Zuar. Okay. And of Zabulon, Eliab, son of Chilon or Hilon. Of the sons of Yusuf, of Ephraim, Alisama, son of Amiud, and Manasseh, Gamaliel, son of Padashur. Interesting, we got a Gamaliel here. Yeah. I guess they like to recycle names a lot. Yeah, we see another Gamaliel in Paul's time. Of Benjamin, Abidan, the son of Gadoni. Of Dan, Achiezer, son of Ammishaddai. Of Asher, Phagiel, son of Akron. And by the way, if it has an E there, there's a reason I'm pronouncing it that way. Because originally it would have been Ah instead of an S sound. So just FYI. Of Gad, Alisaph, of the son of Raguel. Interesting. They have a different name for him. Interesting. Is that something I don't know about? Where this Raguel guy could have also been Deual? I never knew that he had two different names. That's interesting. That's a little interesting.
Say that again.
It has like they have like an alternative spelling for his name in other versions. Like they have, instead of Raguel, it's Dahual or something like that. I never noticed that before, but the Onkelos has it as Dahual, and so does the Samaritan. I don't know why that would be such a difference. What verse was that again, Mom? The Raguel verse?
13, I think.
14, yeah, right here. So the Septuagint has Raguel. Targum Onkelos has Dahual, so D there instead of a R. I don't understand the significance with that, and with the H sound there as well. It's interesting. Of Naphtali, the Achir, son of Anan, or Anan. These were the famous men of the congregation of the heads of the tribes according to their families. These are the heads of the thousands in Yasharal. The number of every tribe, Moshe and Aaron took these men who were called by name, and they assembled all the congregation on the first day of the month, again, the new moon, in the second year, and they registered them after their lineage, after their families, after the number of their names, from 20 years old and upwards, every male according to their number. As Yahuwah commanded Moshe, so they were numbered in the wilderness of Sinai. And the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Yasharal, according to their kindreds, according to their divisions, according to their houses of their families, according to the number of their names, according to their heads, were all males from 20 years older and upward, everyone that went out with the army. The numbering of them of the tribe of Reuben was 46,400. The children of Simeon, according to their kindreds, according to their divisions, according to the houses of their families, according to the number of their names, according to their polls, all males from 20 years old. Okay, I'm just making sure because there are going to be certain verses that don't say males. So I'm keeping my watch out for the Masoretic here. So they do tell you all males here from 20 years old up, everyone that goes out with the army. The number of them of the tribe of Simeon was 59,300. For the sons of Gad, according to their kindreds, according to their divisions, according to the houses of their families, according to the number of their names, according to their polls, all males from 20 years old. Now, this is where they stop saying males. So take a little note of that, verse 24. They stop saying all males in the Masoretic here, or they leave this out. All males from 20 years old upward, everyone that goes forth with the army. So they leave out all males in that verse, in verse 24 there. I'm going to make a little note of that. Numbers chapter 1, verse 24. Masoretic text leaves out males. Okay, verse 25. And the numbering of them of the tribe of Gad was 45,650. For the sons of Yehuda, according to their kindreds, according to their divisions, according to the houses of their families, according to the number of their names, according to the polls, all males from 20 years old and upwards, everyone that goes forth with the army. The numbering of them of the tribe of Yehuda was 74,600. For the sons of Issachar, according to their kindreds, according to their divisions, according to the house of their families, according to the number of their names, according to their polls, all males from 20 years old upward, everyone that goes forth with the army. The numbering of them of the tribe of Issachar was 54,400. For the sons of Zabulon, according to their kindreds, according to their divisions, according to their houses and their families, according to the number of their names, according to their polls, all males from 20 years old and upward, everyone that goes out with the army. Okay. And we're at verse 31, by the way, just FYI. The numbering of them of the tribe of Zebulun was 57,400. Wow. Zebulun had a lot more than the first tribe we saw here. So this, wow, they got a decent bit more than Reuben. For the sons of Yusuf, the sons of Ephraim, according to their kindreds, according to their divisions, according to the houses of their families, according to the number of their names, according to their polls, all males from 20 years old upward, everyone that goes out with the army. The numbering of them of the tribe of Ephraim was 40,500. Very small for Ephraim. Very small for him. For the sons of Manasseh, according to their kindreds, according to their houses of their families, according to the number of their names, according to their polls, all males. Okay, at least they have son of in the unkills. At least they're trying. At least they're trying there. But yeah, it seems like the Masoretic leaves out males in this one again. And I wonder if that's a rabbinic tradition. I do want to look that up after today. When did Israel start bringing women into war? I would like to look into that because today they do it in the land of Israel without even thinking. So I'm just going to make a little note here. Masoretic text omits males, all males.
And they do it while they're in high school too. It's not.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
When I was in high school.
So like 16 or something? 15,
yeah, they were
16?
like 16, 17 years old.
Oh, boy.
They came and talked to us in my class. And we were astounded because they said, yeah.
Shoot, the girls are not even old enough to have a drink, but they're gonna Israel's gonna send them out to war.
Mhm.
Sheesh. Gosh.
Well, what's the drinking limit in Israel?
What is the limit in Israel? Is there a limit? They might be like Mexico. I don't know. Because I know a lot of other countries don't even have an age. They just don't care. Like they'll, you know, how like the old school saying, like if a baby's teething, they'll give them like a little teaspoon of like rum or something to numb their gums and stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised if other countries just don't really care. They don't have an alcoholic problem like we do over here, and they probably don't have a limit. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe Israel doesn't have a limit, and that's why they think it's okay to send women out to war at 15 to 16 years old. But still, that's kind of young. I mean, even if women are allowed in Torah, that would be kind of ridiculous. Yeah. Let's see, 32,200 tribe of Manasseh. So Manasseh has less than Ephraim. That's very interesting. Ephraim's a little bit bigger, about like 8,000 more. For the sons of Benjamin, according to their kindreds, according to their divisions, according to the houses of their families, according to the number of their names, according to their polls, every male from 20 years old and upward, everyone that goes forth with the army. Okay? The numbering of them of the tribe of Benjamin was 35,400. So Benjamin's very small too. The sons of Dan, according to their kindreds, according to their divisions, according to the house of their families, according to the number of their names, according to their polls, all males from 20 years old and upward, everyone that goes forth with the army, the numbering of them of the tribe of Dan was 62,700. So Dan's a pretty big tribe. It's pretty interesting. For the sons of Asher, according to their kindreds, according to their divisions, according to the houses of their families, according to the number of their names, according to their polls, every male from 20 years old and upward, everyone that goes forth with the army. The numbering of them of the tribe of Asher was 41,500. For the sons of Naphtali, according to their kindreds, according to their divisions, according to the houses of their families. Excuse me. Got a little hiccup there. Houses of their families, according to the number of their names, according to their polls, every male from 20 years old and upward. And let's see, so every male. Yeah. And again, that could be just a translation error, but it says everyone in the Targum Onkelos rather than every male. I find that interesting. So I'm gonna make a little note of that because I'm noticing that every time it talks about the males, it's either they're missing it or they're changing it to everyone, which again could be a translation error, but it's kind of interesting that the Septuagint's the only one that has every male every time. Yeah, I mean, the Samaritan Pentateuch doesn't even have that word at all. It just says all that were able to go forth to war. So it's kind of interesting. All right, go ahead, Brother Yahusha.
Maybe with it being, maybe they would have just assumed in the Onkelos, the Samaritan, that the reader would already know that it was males, so they just didn't feel like they needed to put it.
Possibly. Very possibly. Yeah, that could be a reason for it. Today, unfortunately, with our feminized society, we actually need a version that has male every time to drive the point home.
You want a little information on some of the questions that you had?
Ooh.
Women started being allowed in the armies in Israel in 1948. So when they brought them back into the state. And the drinking thing is 18, but there are laws over there about when and where you can drink from 11 p.m. to
So they're allowed to send them out to war 3 years before they can drink. Oh my goodness. And this tradition of women sending women out to war, they weren't even doing this until 1948.
Right.
Which that's when the quote unquote, Ashkenazis and Khazars came over there. Interesting. Interesting.
From other places.
Yeah, Germany.
Yeah.
Russia. Where they came from. The heathen. Yeah, they got, well, they're heathen in ethnicity, so it's not surprising that they would do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. Not even the Masoretes would do that. Oh, I'll give them credit for that. At least they didn't institute it. The number of them of the tribe of Naphtali was 53,400. So yeah, wow. 53,000, not too shabby. This is the number in which Moshe and Aaron and the rulers of Yasharel, being 12 men, conducted, like the 12 leaders of the tribes. Conducted where was a man for each tribe. They were according to the tribe of the houses of their family. Interesting that they chose the word fathers in other versions, which is the same thing. Genealogy, fathers, same thing. Interesting. And the whole number of the children of Yasharel with their army was from 20 years old and upward. Everyone that goes out to him set himself in battle array in Yasharel came to 600,000 and 3,550. Now, what's interesting, Judah is not mentioned, right? This whole chapter, I have not seen Judah. Or maybe we went.
Judah was in verse 26.
Oh, it was. Okay. I don't know. I must have missed it. Now, what was Judah? I'm just curious because there's a verse that talks about the thousands of Judah. I'm just curious if they're
74,600.
Yeah, they're the biggest, which actually makes sense what Micah chapter 5 says. So yeah, after this chapter, I just want to reference this messianic prophecy in Micah 5:2 talks about out of the thousands of Judah, and possibly why they said that is because Judah is usually numerically the biggest tribe, usually. But the Levites of the tribe of their family were not counted among the children of Yasharel. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, "You shall not muster the tribe of Levi. You shall not take their numbers in the midst of the children of Yashrael, do you set the Levites over the tabernacle of witness, and over all its furniture, over all the things that are in it. They shall do service in it, and they shall encamp round about the tabernacle. So that's their portion. They are to take care of Yahuwah's house. And in removing the tabernacle, the Levites shall take it down. In the pitching the tabernacle, they shall set it up, and let the stranger that advances die. Ooh. Ouch. And the children of the Yashrael shall encamp, every man in his own order, every man according to his company. In his own order. Where have we seen that for? Little comparison between his people and the stars there. Interesting. The same Elohim that made the stars to have their own order, he's making his people have their own order, their own positions. Interesting. It says, every man according to his company with their army. But let the Levites encamp round about the tabernacle witness, fronted, there shall be no sin among the children of Yashrael, and the Levites themselves shall keep the guard of the tabernacle of witness. And the children of Yashrael did according to all that Yahuwah commanded Moshe and Aaron, so did they. And that's the end of chapter 1. A lot of stuff. So we went through the whole numbering, taking a census of the 12 tribes here. Very important. And towards the end, we see Yahuwah is going to put them in certain positions where they're supposed to be stationed near the tabernacle, outside the tabernacle. So they're going to have, each tribe is going to have a certain allotment of the land where that tabernacle is. I mean, obviously the Levites don't, because they don't have a possession. Their portion is Yahuwah, really. They belong to Yahuwah. So their portion is the sacrifices, the, certain pieces of the whole burnt offerings they eat from. That's their portion. Their portion is the temple, the tabernacle. So we kind of see Yahuwah having order here. He's a Alua of order. He wants people in their positions. He doesn't want chaos. Chaos is usually of the enemy, where there's no order and just a mess. But what I did want to look at here, just as a reference point, because I know one of the Targums, instead of it saying Yahuwah spoke this to Moshe, I just want to look at something here. I find it interesting. I think one of them actually mentions Yahusha here. It says the word of Yahuwah spoke this to Moshe. I just want to be curious to see. Let's see. One of the Targums actually paraphrases the month of Nisan or Abib. That's interesting. Moshe had finished rearing up the tabernacle. Oh no, my bad. That's chapter 7. That's interesting. Which is not. It's not inaccurate at all to name it Abib. I mean, it's the first month of the year. So this one just says Yahuwah. I was just curious to see if it said the word of Yahuwah spoke these commands to Moshe. Just curious. Or not. Sometimes it does. Okay, so that is what chapter 1 of Numbers. Okay. So I just wanted to check something really quick before we move on. There, here we go. Okay, so it says Yahuwah here. Okay, so that's interesting. Just something to take note of, because sometimes the Targums will show that Yahusha is actually talking. So kind of interesting. Let's see here. So yeah, okay. All right, never mind. All right, so I'm going to let Sister Marissa read now whenever she's ready, unless anyone has anything to bring up. I think it was pretty much self-explanatory. That last chapter is mostly just censuses being taken and numberings being taken. Oh, my bad. I did want to share the verse I was talking about from Micah real quick, where it actually talks about the thousands of Yehuda here and how that correlates with what we just read. But you, O Ephrathah, are too little to be among the clans of Yehuda. From you shall come forth me, who is to be ruler in Yasharel, and is coming forth from old, from ancient days. Now, I'm not too much of a fan of the way the ESV translates that. Let me go to the Septuagint real quick. This is how it's supposed to read. You, Bethlehem, house of Ephrathah, are few to be reckoned among the thousands of Yehuda. Yet out of you shall one come forth to me to be a ruler of Yashel. His goings forth were from the beginning, past tense, were from eternity. So again, this is talking about Yahusha here, talking about him as a pre-existent, eternal, forever living being coming and taking on flesh, basically. So, and the fact that he was going to take on flesh of a descendant of Yehuda, and that it mentions the thousands of Yehuda. We just read about how Yehuda is like one of the biggest tribes, like 74,000. So I find that interesting. So, yeah. All right, Sister Marissa, whenever you're ready, I'll try to get this page ready for the viewers and listeners here.
Okay, so I'm going to be reading from the scriptures version.
Okay.
Oh, Exodus 2, right?
Numbers chapter 2.
Oh, Numbers, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Just so you can read along.
Numbers chapter 2. Okay. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe and to Aharon, saying, the children of Israel are to camp, each one by his own banner, beside the sign of his father's house. Let them camp around the tent of appointment at a distance. And on the east side, towards sunrise, those of the banner of the camp of Yehuda camp according to their divisions. And the leader of the children of Yehuda, Nahshon, son of Aminabab, and his army with the registered ones, 74,600. And those camping next to him is the tribe of Issachar, and the leader of the children of Issachar, Nethanel, son of Tesuar. And his army with its registered ones, 54,400. Then the tribe of Zebulun, and the leader of the children of Zebulun, Eliab, son of Helon. And his army with its registered ones, 57,400. All the registered ones of the camp of Yehuda, according to their divisions, 186,400. These depart first. On the south side, the banner of the camp of Reuben, according to their divisions, and the leader of the children of Reuben, Elitzur, son of Shadir, and his army with its registered ones, 46,500. And those who camp next to him, the tribe of Shimon, and the leader of the children of Shimon, Shelumiel, son of Tesurishadai, and his army with the registered ones, 59,300. Then the tribe of Gad, and the leader of the children of Gad, Eliasaph, son of Ruel, and his army with the registered ones, 45,650. All the registered ones of the camp of Reuben, according to their divisions, 151,450, and they are the second to depart. And the tent of appointment, the camp of the Levites, shall move out in the middle of the camps. As they camp, so they move out, everyone in his place by their banners. On the west side, the banner of the camp of Ephraim, according to their divisions. And the leader of the children of Ephraim, Elishama, son of Ammihud, and his army with the registered ones, 40,500. And next to him, the tribe of Manasseh, and the leader of the children of Manasseh, Gamiel, son of Pedat Sur, and his army with the registered ones, 32,100. Then the tribe of Benjamin, and the leader of the children of Benjamin, Abidan, son of Gidoni, and his army with the registered ones, 35,400. All the registered ones of the camp of Ephraim, according to their divisions, 180,100. And they are the third to depart. On the north side, the banner of the camp of Dan, according to their divisions, and the leader of the children of Dan, Ahiezer, son of Ammishaddai, and his army with their registered ones, 62,700. And those who camp next to him, the tribe of Asher, and the leader of the children of Asher, Pagiel, son of Okran, and his army with their registered ones, 41,500. Then the tribe of Naphtali, and the leader of the children of Naphtali, Ahira, son of Enan, and his army with their registered ones, 53,100. All the registered ones of the camp of Dan, 157,600. They depart last with their banners. These were registered ones of the children of Israel by their fathers' houses, all who were registered according to the divisions of the camps, 603,550. But the Levites were not registered among the children of Israel, as Yahuwah commanded Moshe. And the children of Israel did according to all that Yahuwah commanded Moshe. So they camped by their banners, and so they departed, each one by his clan according to their fathers' houses. Hey, Brother Doug. Hello?
Yes, sis.
Sorry. Is that the Gamiel that they're talking about who taught Paul?
Nah, a lot of Hebrews would have passed down names. Like there's like 5, I think there's at least 5 different Joseph in scripture, or at least 3 or 4 of them that I know of. The Hebrews a lot of the times would, names were very ancestral. So, for example, Yahusha, his earthly human name was like used by 3 or 4 different people. You had a Yahusha from the Babylonian captivity that came over that I think was Mama Priest or something. Like in the book of Ezra and Nehemiah, talks about all that came back. Yeah. It's mistranslated as Yeshua. And there's a Yeshua that's talked about that comes from Babylonian captivity. You have a Yahusha, son of Nun. That's the second Yahusha. You have Yahusha, son of Jehozadak, the high priest, which could have been the same Yahusha that's talked about from coming back from Babylon. If not, you have like 4 different Yahushas in scripture.
Daniel's another one. You see several Daniels in the Bible.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. David had a son named Daniel. Then there was Daniel, the prophet, and yeah, a lot of those names you see.
Yeah. So
you know.
Joseph, you had the Joseph, the husband of Miriam. You had
Yeah.
Joseph, the father of Miriam. And then you had Joseph, the patriarch. So you had 3 Josephs there. So yeah, names were recycled in Hebrew culture. That was a very popular tradition that we really don't do today. I mean, sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Sometimes you have a junior in your family. Very, very less likely today. I mean, I would say it was more popular in the 30s or the 40s to keep doing that.
That Hebrew culture does not really do juniors. You don't see them naming their
Well,
sons
not junior, but they'll name their sons like the same name as their father.
Oh, yeah.
Like our juniors today would be comparable to, someone being named after their father. It's like the same thing. It's like the same thing. The only difference is we have a suffix at the end of our name. They don't do suffixes. So, but it's really the same thing. Like me being Doug Bonensegna Jr. Same exact thing as someone having the same name as their father, But you don't see that very common today. You don't see people like carrying forth the ancestral name to their next generation. Maybe that's because we lack the understanding of importance of generations and carrying the father's name, throughout the next generation to next. Because generations were very big and important in Hebrew culture. You see that in the book of Ruth. You see that without bearing seed for your brother-in-law, for your brother, his whole name is going to be lost. His whole reputation, his name is going to be lost. So in Hebrew culture, it was very big thing about carrying over, making sure that there's a next generation for every family. That's why Yahuwah wanted brothers. If your brother dies and now his wife's a widow, you have a responsibility to marry his widow to bear seed to your brother. Because actually, if you marry that woman, that's not your child. Even though it's physically your child, it's not reckoned as your seed. It's reckoned as your children to your brother. So that's why Judah's children were very selfish and did not want to do that, because they looked at it as, well, if I have a child through Tamar, that's not going to be my child, which is correct. It's not going to be their child. It would be the dead brother's child. And because they were selfish and wanted credit to have their own seed rather than to raise up seed to their brother. That's why Yahuwah killed them. But anyway, so generations were very important in biblical times, to say the least. Keeping a seed line alive was very important. But yeah, I noticed there's a note here for the question I had about Re'ul, whether it's supposed to be Re'ul or De'ul. I noticed the ISR translation, they have a little footnote supposedly under their explanatory notes. I don't know, sis, if you have anything under your physical ISR, do they say anything in the footnotes about why they chose De'ul instead of Re'ul? Raguel, why they didn't choose Raguel, they chose De'ul.
No, they don't have notes at all in the
Interesting.
Doug, I
Yeah.
have a question, and it has to do with what you said about marrying your brother's wife when he's dead.
Yeah.
Technically, my brother Dennis should have married our brother Steve's wife, but she was not a believer. So,
I think Dennis did the right thing, because you're not. At the same time, we're not supposed to be intermarrying with heathen. So at the same time, I do think Dennis, in context, did the right thing. I know some people take that as like an ecumenical command, and they think they're supposed to marry heathens. The problem with that is then you're going to have a problem with Ezra, where Ezra, tells them to divorce all their wives.
yeah.
So You know, they're taking scripture as a whole. Yeah, Dennis did the 100% righteous thing. He
Right. We
didn't
were
want to-
talking about that, and I was wondering what you had to say about it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you guys. I know some people take it a different way, but you know, that's you know, if you only look at that law of itself and you don't look at the whole counsel of the word, you look at the whole counsel of the world. Paul even talks about in the New Testament, you're not supposed to seek out women that are, you know, not of this walk. You're not even supposed to be friends with non-believers, according to Paul. I know a lot of people like to rationalize and say that's not what Paul's saying, but it is what Paul's saying. He's saying you can't sit at the table of devils. And he's talking about someone that is following Satan versus following Messiah. I know a lot of people don't see that because it says Beliar or Belial. But if you look into Hebrew culture, Belial was like a name for Satan. It was like an actual Judean traditional actual proper name that was used for him in certain literature that we don't have in our canon today, actually used Beliar, Belial, referring to Satan himself. So when Paul's saying, can Messiah fellowship with Beliar, he's actually saying, can a non-believer fellowship with a believer? Can a child of Yahuwah fellowship with a child of the devil? And he's making it very clear that you can't. So to say that you can't do that, but then you can marry a non-believer, I mean, that doesn't make any sense. So if Paul is saying even fellowship-wise, even eating, you know, and fellowshipping-wise, you're not supposed to do it. Obviously, we can put two and two together that you're not supposed to marry, as long as you have the choice of it. Now, where people get confused is Paul talks about staying married, not seeking out a non-believer, staying married to someone you're already married to before you came to the truth. There's a huge difference. And I would emphasize a huge difference between the two. Because when Paul's talking about for that woman to stay with her husband, he was her husband before she was a believer. That's the context. So I know a lot of people misunderstand that and then put heavy burdens on themselves.
Yeah.
And not looking at the context. Not looking at the context of what Paul's talking about. Paul's basically talking to a Gentile woman, really, in that letter. And he's saying, listen, you know, most likely when, you know, this woman or the women he's talking about were former pagans that were already married. They became grafted into Israel, and now they have a pagan husband that didn't convert. So what Paul is saying is that you should stay with him, and so that maybe Yahuwah will use you to convert your husband. Paul is not saying, and I know a lot of Christians take it this way, he's not saying, thus shall you be married to your husband no matter what, and never divorce your husband. He is not saying that. He is not saying that at all. And I think it's important to understand Paul cannot add to Torah. He cannot add to or contradict what Yahuwah has already said in his word. Yahuwah has said, don't marry those other nations that sacrifice to pagan gods. He said that multiple times. Yahuwah obviously led Ezra to have those men divorce their pagan wives. So we can't have scripture contradict itself. There has to be a context that people are missing with that. Because I see so many well-meaning sisters put heavy burdens and stay with someone that's never converting. And if it gets to a point where your husband is never going to convert, Paul's not saying you're forced to stay married to him forever. That's not what he's saying. He's saying that you should try to stay married to him. You should try to stay married to him and wait to see if he'll convert. But there's always the option. There was always the option in scripture for someone to separate from an unequally yoked partner. There's never a command that says you can't do that. So right. I think it's important that people understand the difference between what Paul, in his opinion, is saying, what he's recommending versus what's law. And I'd see too many people not understanding that, where Paul even himself sometimes will like say, you know, this is what I would recommend. This is what I think. Like he doesn't have the authority to add to Torah. He doesn't have the authority to do that. He's a man. He's not Messiah. He doesn't have the authority to do that. So and he doesn't add to Torah. What he's talking about is a certain context, which, quite frankly, only a few of us in this mishpacha can really relate to, is being married to someone, prior to coming into this walk. He would have had to be married to the person prior to coming to Yahusha, which is, I only know a handful of sisters that have that situation going on.
I went through that.
Yeah, like it's very seldomly, because most of us, he's calling us either when we're already separated or not married yet. I mean, I can only think of maybe a few sisters I know personally that have gone through that have already been married for such a long time and waited, and sometimes it never happens. Sometimes you have to separate from that person. Sometimes you have to.
Well, in my case, my husband divorced me because of my belief.
Yeah, sometimes Yahuwah will force the hand. Sometimes Yahuwah does that. He's like, okay, I'm trying to get you to do something. You're not doing something. All right, I got to do it for you. Sometimes Yahuwah will do that. Sometimes he will do that. He's like, he does move us with his spirit to do things, but at the same time, he sometimes makes the decision for us half the time. But I just wanted to explain that for the sisters out there, just so they know, the context of what Paul is dealing with. He's not talking about every type of married couple. He's not talking about, if you can go out and marry this heathen person because you love them. That's not what Paul is saying. So I just want to make it clear that's not the context of what he's dealing with. So, anyway, but I think we got a couple people hands up. Sister Marissa or Brother Yahusha, whoever wants to go first.
So I was able to find some explanatory notes here in the back of Duel. So it says Duel Ruel. In Hebrew, the letter Dalet is very similar to the letter Resh, sometimes resulting in a misspelling, and therefore this person is called both Duel and Ruel, while the LXX and the Syriac have Ruel in BEM, and elsewhere the Samaritan, Vulgate, and Arabic have Duel instead.
Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I see what they're saying. So the Dalet of Hebrew could possibly be similar to our R in the English language. I see what they're saying. Okay. Well, it's possible. I would like to look more into that, because what they're basing it on is Babylonian Hebrew for the most part. So I would like to find out if the vowel points are changing letters. And
Resh is R.
Yep, go ahead. Yep, go ahead, Sister Shoshana.
Yeah. I just said that there's the letter Resh, which is the Hebrew letter for our R.
Okay. So which doesn't make sense why they would have a D there in English. So yeah, that I don't agree with the ISR's explanatory note there. If it's our R, it should be Ray Uel, which, like they just said in that explanatory note, the Septuagint has, the Syriac Peshitta has. I don't understand why the Masoretic would change it to a D.
Because it's Masoretic.
So they're changing basically a Resh into a Dalet.
Yeah.
The Masoretes, I like the ISR people, but they tend to trust a little too much into the Babylonian Hebrew vowel rules.
Actually, when you look in the Masoretic, there is no Resh. It's a Dalet.
Huh.
There's a Dalet at the beginning of that.
Interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, I would have to go with the Septuagint over the Masoretic. We don't know what they've changed, what the Masoretes have done with the Hebrew language. They could have been changing letters. I don't know. That that seems very weird to me that the only source they have for it is the Masoretic, and other manuscripts seem to agree with the Septuagint. That explanatory note, the only ones that do date the Dalit are the Masoretic text and the Latin Vulgate, which didn't even exist until 400 AD. That's very suspect to me.
Well, it seems to depend on which Septuagint that you're looking at. Because I see two Septuagints are using Ruel, and two Septuagints are using the ABP uses Ruel, the Complete Apostles Bible uses Duel, the Charles Thompson uses Raguel, the LXXE uses Raguel. I would like to see what, and ABP doesn't give you a Strong's for names. It does show you like what the letters are, but I don't know. I'm not familiar with Greek. I can figure it out, but I'll do that another time. I would like to see what this beginning letter, if it's an R or if it's a D.
Yeah. It's very strange to me because the explanatory note is trying to go around and trying to say that the Resh and the Dalit are so similar. It sounds like they're trying to make an excuse for the Masoretes, is what it sounds like in that explanatory note. And I kind of wonder if, I know this is kind of conspiracy at this point, but I wonder if it was originally a Resh in the Paleo-Hebrew scriptures. And
well, even in the Paleo, the Resh and the Dalit look almost identical.
Okay.
Not just the Masoretic.
That seems to be the problem then. Okay. Probably the scholars who are doing these translations don't know which one is which, and they're possibly making mistakes. Okay. That could be
like they don't look identical in the Paleo Hebrew though.
Yeah, they do. I'm looking at it right. I'm sorry.
A Resh it looks like it has a Dalit at the top, but it's a straight line down, and the Dalit is just a triangle.
Depends on which form of Paleo you're looking at.
Let me see here. I'm gonna look at a couple of charts here. I want to look at the most modern one even. I'm gonna look at the Phoenician to see what that looks like. I'm gonna figure this out real quick because I have a feeling something's up with that.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be contentious.
Especially since the ISR is pro-Masoretic for the most part. I wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to make an excuse.
I just know we have to
take
into consideration that we have to take into consideration that there's not just one form of Paleo. There's been several forms of Paleo throughout history.
I know. I just want to test what they're saying. I don't want to automatically believe what they're saying because I know the ISR people. They have their little biases. I know some of their theology. They have little biases, and they're very pro-Babylonian Hebrew. So they're. I want to find proof of what they're saying is true before I accept it.
Well,
so let me see here.
In the Paleo, a Resh stands for a head, and it just kind of looks like a head on top of a straight line.
Yeah,
that would be ancient. That would be ancient Picto. That's not Paleo, though.
Yeah, here we go. Here's the supposedly. Here we go. We got the D as the door here. Now, this is Phoenician, by the way. This is not pictograph. This is like the most modern Paleo we have today, from what I know of. It's the Phoenician alphabet. And you got the Dalit here, D, and what did they say? Resh? Yeah, that does not look the same at all.
What are you looking at? I'm not seeing what you're looking at.
I'm looking at a chart right here.
That's definitely
all the way to the left.
That's definitely not Paleo Phoenician. That might be Paleo Hebrew, but it's not Paleo Phoenician.
These two.
No, I am. I see what you're saying, but I'm saying that chart is wrong. That would be Paleo Hebrew, not Paleo Phoenician.
Okay. Okay, yes. Sometimes they call it Phoenician. Sometimes they
Look at
miscall it Phoenician, but according
I'm
to
gonna
this,
send you look at the commentary that I sent in the chat. That's another form of Paleo Phoenician. That's what I'm familiar with. The one on the right with the tail being the Dalit.
this one,
I
Brown
sent it-
University, which
I sent it in the commentary. Yeah, right there.
okay.
I don't know. No, because that's giving the same type of Dalit. Look in the comment in the chat box that I sent.
Okay.
You see how in that one, instead of just being a triangle, that triangle has a tail on it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say, is that it's not exactly the same. The commentary from Marissa's ISR was trying to claim that they look almost exact. They don't look exact. I can tell a difference. So that's what I'm trying to say. We got to be careful with these explanatory notes, because the same guys that are claiming this also claim that there's no Hebrew word for virgin.
Yeah.
So we also have to be careful who's giving that information. Is people with biases.
I would say though, like if somebody, depending on who's writing it, if both Dalit and Rosh are a triangle with a tail, at least in some forms of paleo, like look at those. Both of those are a triangle and with a tail. The only difference is the Rosh has a longer tail. But if someone, like when I write something and you write something, my letters are not going to look the same. So very possible that someone just didn't see that one had a longer tail and mistook it. I can see how those can easily be mistaken for one another.
Yeah.
Even more like the Resh is the bet.
Yeah, it's kind of like you got a door with a pillar under it. That's the major difference.
Yeah.
It's like a stick under the door.
Well,
That's
is a straight line, whereas the bait is a curved line.
so yeah, I would respectfully disagree with them. There's enough proof from other similar languages to the Paleo Hebrew that there's definitely a distinction. So I would disagree with the ISR people. That's just my personal opinion. I think it should be knowing the history of the Masoretes, knowing what they've done. It's not that hard to believe they would mess with a letter to change someone's name. It's not that hard to believe, in my opinion. It's not the fact that the Septuagint was translated straight from the Paleo. I would definitely agree with their spelling of certain names and words versus the Masoretic, knowing that they make up these weird vowel, like stupid vowel rules. And
I would say you have to take into consideration too, though, that what you're looking at online is printed out Paleo versus someone that's actually writing Paleo is going to be their own handwriting, depending on how they're writing it. Also, depending on how old the manuscript is, certain stuff can get worn away. Depending on how well your handwriting is, it's not always going to look the same.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It could have faded after time. It could have possibly looked like the Resh over time. The way someone writes, they could not make it clear enough to where someone thought it was a Dalit. I understand what you're saying. I do. I really do. I do understand what you're saying. Yeah, I get it. I don't think it makes that much of a difference. Deu, Raguel, I mean, it's not much of a difference. But it's good to have some type of explanation why it differs in the different manuscripts. That actually helps a little bit. I'm glad they at least list something, because that was confusing me for a bit. That was really confusing me. I was like, what the heck? Why is there so much difference? Usually there's not that much of a difference from Hebrew to Greek. I'm like, what the heck? Okay. So anyway, so again, what Sister Marissa just read here was like another chapter about the numberings and getting their armies together and their divisions together. Trying to see if there's anything important. I know Sister Marissa has her hand up, so if I don't find anything I want to bring up, I'll go to her next. I don't see much in here.
Oh, sorry, bro. That was an old hand. I gotta take it down.
Oh, it's okay. No problem, sis. Ashana, Aminadab, pretty much standard stuff from this chapter. And again, the thousands of Yehuda here, 86,400, kind of makes a lot of sense, like that verse from Micah that I read earlier. That kind of makes a lot of sense why they're called the thousands of Yehuda. So very interesting here. So again, the tent, the tabernacle, how they're supposed to camp, all their divisions. I think that's about it. I think we're gonna close this recording, and we'll start a new one up for Ayub, Job. We're gonna be doing Job 17 and 18 very soon. So please stay tuned, all of our brothers and sisters out there and listeners and viewers. We will be doing we will be doing the Job study soon. So please stay tuned. And I'm going to make sure after these videos are up, me and Brother Yahusha list some links for the alphabet charts we were talking about and had on the screen, so you guys can look into that if you want to, if you desire to. So